everybody, I am that nursing prof and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some tips and tricks to help you better navigate online school. I know with everything going on right now, a lot of you have been transitioned to online school, even though that's not what you signed up for originally, so you're kind of like learning along the way. Me too, right? I don't normally teach online, but now I am. So we're all kind of learning. So I thought I would make a video about some like helpful hints and tricks and things like that to make it a little bit easier for you. So my first one is to get to know your professor. So if you're just starting your new term coming up, I know my new term is coming up in a couple of weeks. Once you have access to the class and the syllabus and all the resources, email your professor, get to know them, introduce yourself, say, hi, I'm such and such nursing student and I've been a CNA for 5 years and I'm really looking forward to this class. That way they can associate a name with, your online presence and you're not just like some random person on another computer, okay? Make a personal human connection with your teacher. They also might have you have your first discussion post where you introduce yourself and maybe write 2 to 3 sentences about, who you are, a little bit about your personal life, and maybe any like healthcare experience you have. Maybe you've been working as a CNA in a nursing home for a couple of years and now you're excited to come back to school and get your RN or your LPN or whatever. Let them know that, right? Introduce yourself, make some sort of human connection with the person on the other side of the screen. Another thing you should do on the first day or before the first day, as soon as you get access to the course materials, is download all of the instructions for your assignments, all the rubrics, any important papers or documents you're going to need throughout the term, and either put them in like a folder on your computer, like a separate folder just for that class, or print them out and put them in like an actual folder. That way you don't lose them. And 6 weeks from now when you have to write that paper and you're like, oh my God, where were the instructions? What is this about? You'll have it with you. You'll have it saved. As soon as you get access to your course, look at your syllabus and kind of organize when you're going to have stuff due. It's very easy to kind of like forget about stuff when you don't actually have to like physically go to the classroom. So get a planner, get a calendar, go through the syllabus and make sure you get all of your assignments written down when they're due. And then give yourself a couple of days before they're due to work on them. That way you're not looking at your calendar and going, oh my God, I have a 10-page paper due tomorrow, and then it's midnight, right? So give yourself some time, look at the syllabus, write everything down. Don't do your work in your bed. I know it's tempting, you have your laptop and you're so comfy and you're just like, I'm gonna log in and do my stuff. You're less productive that way. So make it more formal. Make it seem a little bit more like the face-to-face school setting. So sit at a desk if you have one, or sit at a table or something like that. Try not to be too comfy when you're trying to do your homework. You want to spend the same amount of time studying for your online course that you would studying for your in-person course. I know because it's on the computer and you're at home, it seems like convenient, so you don't have to do as much stuff, but that's not true, right? You should be doing the same amount of studying and reading, and it should take you the same amount of time to complete assignments and things like that as it would if you were in person. Do take your online courses seriously and don't procrastinate on your assignments. This is another strange one, but I wanted to bring it up. Don't turn stuff in too early. Okay? Don't work ahead weeks and weeks in advance. I know sometimes like you're really like a go-getter and you're like, oh, I have all this time. I'm going to work on this project and it's week 2 and it's not due until week 7, but I'm going to turn it in. Don't do that because likely you have not learned the material yet and you don't have a good understanding of what the project is about at that point. If you want to start doing things, pulling resources, maybe working on it a little bit, okay, but don't turn in your final project weeks in advance or too far in advance because your professor might take that as your submission and you wouldn't get a good grade on it, or it's going to be a lot of emailing back and forth. Well, you need to fix that. You need to fix this. We haven't talked about that yet. So don't turn stuff in too early. Sometimes when you're doing school online, there's this idea that it's not as important or you don't care enough about it, and if I don't care, then the teacher probably doesn't care, so I can do whatever I want and I can just write something and turn it in and she'll just give me credit because I turned it in. Don't do that, because guess what? We read your stuff, okay? We read your work. It actually takes us a very long time when we go through all of the things you're saying and critique you. I've had people do that. They've assumed that I don't actually read their papers, and they turn in, the Pledge of Allegiance. The first part is an introduction, and then they just put in, the Pledge of Allegiance like 10 times in a row, and then they have a conclusion, like, oh, I'm just gonna quickly glance at it. Okay, 100 points. No, don't do that. Turn in your stuff, turn in quality work, okay? Just because it's online doesn't mean your work is not expected to be quality. Be sure to participate in your discussion boards, and that might be mandatory. It might be like an assignment of yours where you have to post one thing to this discussion board a week or something like that. Do that, of course, do your assignment, but don't just do that and then forget about it, right? Do it and then go back. Read what your classmates are writing, because maybe they've brought up interesting points or topics, or they have questions, or maybe something in their post answers one of the questions that you had. So participate in the discussion board and then go back to it. Look at it again. Because you're not going to have the opportunity to be, raising your hand in class, asking questions, or going to office hours, make sure that you are checking your emails, announcements, discussion posts, any sort of communication with your professor at least once a day, bare minimum once a day, because you don't want to miss anything, you don't want to fall behind. So very important that you're always checking those things at least once a day, ideally 3 times a day. After you turn in your assignment, go back and double check it. I cannot tell you how many times students have turned in their homework and it's like the blank original form or the blank rubric or something like that, and not their actual assignment. So go back, double check, and make sure your actual work got turned in. Some of your professors might not be so lenient about that, and they might deduct points for, late work. And another thing about that is if you're taking multiple classes, you want to make sure that you're uploading the correct assignment to the correct class. Because I can't tell you, I've had situations where, I teach OB and then someone's turning in their psych homework to me. Don't turn in your psych homework to me, I'm not going to grade that. And then they don't notice it for days and I'm emailing them about it and they're not responding to me. So very important, again, going back to checking your emails, but also double checking your assignments and make sure you're uploading the correct assignment to the correct class. Get to know your classmates. I think that's a big help. So the idea, if you're trying to lose weight, it's hard when you're doing it on your own, right? But if you have a workout buddy to help keep you accountable, you're both more likely to lose the weight, right? So same for studying, same for getting your stuff done. So get a homework buddy, maybe even start a virtual study group, something like that. Get a group text going or a group, Google Doc going for notes and things like that. So make friends with the people in your class. It's going to benefit you and it's going to benefit them. One of the hardest parts of doing online school is that you're doing it at home, right? And what do we have at home? Distractions. Maybe you have kids or pets, or maybe there's somebody outside mowing their lawn, right? So there's lots of distractions at home. So do your best to minimize those distractions. Don't do your schoolwork with Netflix on. Don't do your schoolwork while you're looking at social media on your phone. Actually, don't even have your phone on you if you can. Turn it off, put it in another room if you can, okay? Get rid of all those distractions. That way you can focus this time on your school, just like you would if you were in the classroom setting. Don't feel obligated just because school is on the computer and your book is probably on the computer as well, that everything has to be on the computer. If you're the type of learner that likes to, draw pictures or take handwritten notes or make flashcards, things like that, go ahead and do it. Whatever works best for you, however you're going to study the best, that's what you should do. I feel like this is also kind of worth mentioning in this video is don't forget to save all of your work. Save it to an external hard drive or a thumb drive or something like that, okay? Back everything up just in case. If your class is such that it's scheduled at 8:30 every Tuesday morning, you're going to meet with your professor over Zoom, do that. Go to class, because we're taking attendance. We're taking attendance just like we would in the real world, just like if we were face-to-face. So go to class. It's only going to help you. My final tip is in regards to motivation. I know for some people this is a huge struggle. You have to be a little bit self-motivated to do online classes in the first place. And I know that can be hard, right? So my tip is, and you're going to think, well, this is a tip, but it is a tip. My tip is to just do it, okay? Force yourself to get over it. Force yourself to start a project. because once you start a project, you're going to want to finish that project or assignment or reading, whatever it is. So just get started, because if you don't start, then you can't finish, right? So starting, that's your first step. So those are my tips for being a successful online learner. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And if not, I'll see you on the next one.